Welcome to my technical presentation. My name is Nancy Warnell and this is for class L-Tech 2151. My icebreaker for my presentation will be I'm putting special gifts in chairs of the people that are coming, and we'll see if they can find their chair. And then after the presentation, we're going to have some refreshments, which includes sandwiches and potato salad and vegetables. And so let's see if they can figure out which chair is theirs.
No.
I think I see mine. Gonna head over there.
Oh, so I know which one's yours, for sure. I see mine.
Actually, I don't know.
What is that?
Pokemon.
Oh, they're Pokemon.
Oh,
I know which one's I know which one's mine too. I don't know which one of these two though. I think you pick. Which one's like the green one?
it's like
Let me introduce myself. My name is Nancy Warnell, and I know y'all don't know my name, but let me tell you a little bit about my background. I've been a registered medical technologist for 39 years. I worked at Parkland for 9 years in the microchemistry department, where all we did was stick babies, newborns, neonates, and the burn unit. Parkland has a huge burn unit, and we were the ones that had to go in and stick the patients. Then I worked at Cook Children's for 9 years, and there I learned how to draw sick children, really, really sick children. And we don't do a lot of heel sticks at Parkland. Most of them are venipunctures. And then I've worked in hospitals where I've had geriatrics, and I've had, just sick people, women that are having babies that are pretty well healthy. So I've had a whole array of drawing patients from neonates to 99-year-old people. So how many of you all think that you're proficient in phlebotomy? Just raise your hand. Sure. Okay. Let me explain that phlebotomy means puncture. It doesn't mean venipuncture. It could encase a venipuncture, a hand stick, a heel stick, or a finger stick. And I know that not all of y'all know how to do all that. So y'all are not proficient at phlebotomy yet, but it's okay. You will be by the end of this presentation. So you all have a copy of the handouts of the slides. And so first of all, we're going to talk about venipunctures. And you'll see that the slide, the phlebotomist anatomy, you have to be really agile to be a phlebotomist, especially if you're in a big facility, because you're going to be running all over the place. Okay? I didn't ever feel that is the greatest compliment that you can get when you draw blood as in a venipuncture. Mm-hmm. The secret to not having them feel it is in your thumb. If you take your thumb and pull back the skin, make it taut, then insert the needle, they will not ever feel it. You're also holding the vein down where it won't roll, but it's all in your thumb action. You have to know which veins are in the arm. And I gave you a copy of the arm with all the different arms and arteries and veins. You never, ever stick
right there,
an
they'll call your
artery.
name, okay?
Lab results are calibrated against venous blood. So the results that you get with that blood will not be accurate. Okay? So don't ever draw an artery. Here is a copy, and you have this of the veins that are in the arm. You have to know where the veins are in relationship to the arteries, okay? So if you ever decide to become registered, you'll have to know this inside and out. So, yeah. Okay, so we have an arm that we're going to focus on. We need the volunteer to sit in the chair and hold the arm. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on a tourniquet. Now, in our place of business, all of our tourniquets are latex free. That is not the case in the outside world. So if a patient says they're allergic to latex, you need to make sure you have a latex free tourniquet. Go. Okay, so we have our arm here, we have our tourniquet. Put the tourniquet on, you want to make sure that the patient keeps their arm down while you pull up. And you take your left hand, if you're right-handed, take it and pull with your right hand, and you want to keep your 2 fingers from your left hand underneath the tourniquet. You want that much space free. And then flip it under so that you have the top part of the tab where you can pull it off. Okay? Now, if you don't put it on tight enough, it is not going to work. What this does is restrict the blood from here so that the veins down here pop open. So you can feel the vein. And then you feel with your hands. Okay? You want to make sure, just because you see a vein doesn't mean that you can stick that vein. You want to use your feeling, not your eyes. So use your finger to feel. Okay? And then you want to get a hub with a needle, unscrew the bottom half. Now there are 2 kinds of hubs. There's these kinds of hubs, and there's also the kind where this part is actually attached to the hub itself. So you always have something that protects the needle. Okay? Take the needle off. You have a tube, you have gauze, alcohol. You want to wipe the arm off in a circular motion, and then you want to wipe off the alcohol. You don't want the alcohol left on the arm. Take your thumb, pull back on the skin, then it's holding the vein. And then you put it in, and this hand never moves. Okay, the right hand holding the hub never moves. Insert it, it's going to fill. Then tourniquets never stay on the arm more than 1 minute, no more than 2 minutes. 2 minutes at the max. Undo it, pull the tube out, pull this back where you can see. Get your gauze, cover it, and come out. Take your needle and secure it. This whole thing gets thrown out, and you have your tube of blood. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Now we're going to do a live draw. And we're going to draw a green top on our volunteer here. So we're going to get some gauze, our alcohol, a green top, because we're going to do a glucose on her. We have our hub with our needle, our gauze, and our alcohol. Our tourniquet's right here, and here's our tube that we're going to collect. We're going to collect a green top because we're going to run a glucose on it, because later on in the presentation we're going to do a finger stick glucose, and we'll compare the 2 results. Okay. Okay. So we're going to keep the arm down. We're going to pull up on the tourniquet, put our hand under here, pull, push it under. Okay? We're going to feel, okay? At this point, gloves. Gloves are to protect you from the patient's blood. They will not protect you from needle sticks, because the needle will go through them just as well as not. We're going to clean the arm, wipe it, and we have blood. Release the tourniquet, pull the tube out, pull that back, let it come out. Secure it, and throw it away. You always want to mix your tube of blood, and then you want to make sure that the patient, raise your hand, is not bleeding when they leave. This one is. Can I hold it for me? I'm going to Band-Aid. So that is from tourniquet to Band-Aid, the perfect phlebotomy. But that, like I said, phlebotomy doesn't just include venipunctures. Now, when you stick a hand, you have to put the tourniquet on about right here on the arm, a little bit above the waist, the wrist. Pick it up, put it on like that, and you don't want them squeezing. You want them to just put their hand, lay it somehow like this, and you can see the veins starting to pop up. If you do a hand stick, you have to use a butterfly. Okay, this is a butterfly, and this is a male butterfly because it has this point on the end that goes into the tubes. That makes it the male, but you can take this off and now it's a female. The female is for syringes. Because some people put it on there and just screw it in. So now you've got a female into a syringe, or the male is for the tubes. Okay? Some people's veins are so fragile that the vacuum in these tubes are too strong and they will literally collapse the vein. Have y'all ever had that happen when you drew blood? You never had that happen? Okay. Well, it will if you, usually it's on older people, okay, or people with real tiny, tiny veins, okay. So, and when you use a syringe, you have to go really, really slow to get the blood to come up, because you don't want to do it fast, because then the vacuum is identical to the tube. Okay, so those are the two different kinds of butterflies. And the reason they're called butterflies is they have these two little wings on there that you can hold. This comes off and it has a little bitty needle on it. Okay. And here's another type of butterfly. It's also a male. Okay. So, falling off. Okay. So to do a hand stick, you always use a butterfly, and you have to thread the needle up into the vein, like when you're given IV. The IV needles that they use, nurses use, how they thread them. Well, you have to thread a butterfly needle like that also. You can't just be barely into it or it'll never work. Heel sticks. Heel sticks are done on neonates less than 3 months, or if they're preemie, they can be less than 6 months. Okay. When you do a heel stick on an infant, you will be collecting blood in what's called a microtainer, and there are pictures of a microtainer in your slides. The red is compared to our red top, the green is a green top, and the purple is a purple top for CBC. Green is chemistries and red is for whatever. Okay. The baby's heel must be warm before you stick a baby. Do a heel stick. If you'll look on this slide, you'll see that who knows where the Achilles tendon is? Where?
It's like
Show me.
here.
That's right. It's on the very base of the back of your foot. If you stick a baby in the very back of the foot, you can damage the Achilles heel. And what happens is the babies, it develop drop foot where they can't support their foot. Okay? So always draw on the side like it shows on the arrows. Okay? Now sometimes we have to draw blood gases on babies, and you actually can do venous blood gases, and you do it in the crook of the foot, right there. Okay. The best known heel sticking device is called tenderfoot. Tenderfoot, how it works is, this is a picture of a tenderfoot right here. It has a blade inside that comes out and goes like this, and it cuts at a standard size, and it promotes healing. Instead of just a stab, it slices, and they bleed good, and then they heal good, and it does not produce bruising, which is what we want. So that's heel sticks. Finger sticks. Now the arm back. When you do a finger stick on a person, you do not want to use the thumb, index finger, or small finger. You want to use these two fingers, the middle finger and the ring finger. Okay? And you want to do them on the side, not right here, but on the sides. And what you do is you have your gauze and your alcohol, and you want to wipe off their finger, and then wipe off the alcohol. And you can use any kind of, there's several different devices. This is one where you just take this off right here, you cock it, and then put your finger there and push this right here, and the blade comes down and pokes your finger. This is one that comes with a glucometer. You open this part up, and this is how most glucometer pokers work. They have settings on. Right now this is set at, it's very deep, or you can rotate it and it gets shallower. So depending on who you're using, if it's somebody like Sam here who doesn't get finger sticks, I'm not going to use a deep cut. I'm going to use a shallow cut. But if I was to use it on myself, I'd use a deep cut, because I do finger stick glucoses on myself all the time. So we're going to do a glucose on her.
Hello.
So we have our gauze and our alcohol. And this is called point of care testing, which means it's outside of the laboratory. This can be done anywhere on the floor. And this is what the lancet looks like. You plop this, you stick this in, you take the top off, and there's the blade. Put this back on. We're going to jack it down because we don't want her to bleed to death. And this is my glucometer. I'll put a strip in. So we're going to use this finger, wash it off, wipe it off, pocket. And then we're going to wipe the first blood off. Squeeze it. And we're going to milk it. You know that.
Your blood glucose reading is 108 milligrams per deciliter.
So our glucose is good. So when y'all go into the outside world, be prepared for drawing heel sticks, finger sticks, maybe hand sticks, lots of venipunctures. And remember, never draw blood from an artery. Correct? How long do you leave a tourniquet on?
No more than
2 minutes.
That's correct. And always use a butterfly when drawing blood
Hand.
from a hand. Correct. And what can happen if you do a heel stick in the wrong place?
Damage the tendon.
Achilles tendon.
That's right. And what are used to perform PLC test?
PLC.
Point of care testing. Finger sticks.
Which you just did.
Yes, finger sticks. Okay, so does anybody have any other questions? Okay, there are refreshments in the office. Please help yourself to them. And thank you again for coming. Okay, I have a handout for you guys called Flawless Phlebotomy, Becoming a Great Collector. And I also have an evaluation. So when you go in there to sit down to eat, please fill out the evaluation. There is no place for your name. I don't want your name. I just want your honest opinion. Thank you.